Alright, so 2012 has been a pretty terrible year so far. Oh, well, I mean, there were some good movies. I mean, 3 good movies. But there were some really horrendous ones. Ultimately, this year is turning out to be pretty terrible, which saddens me somewhat. If you'll remember, last year I made a video in the beginning of September expressing some interest in some films coming out for the rest of 2011. Since we are halfway through 2012, I figure I might as well make a list of some films that are coming out that I'm actually interested in. Who knows, I may even get a little bit excited. Also, I should mention that this list isn't really in any particular order, so yeah. Alright, so first up, we have a movie that I'm almost convinced will be disappointing. No, I have to be looking forward to a movie for it to be disappointing. No, I'm talking about the new Batman movie. Oh, there goes my nerd cred. Bye, nerd cred. Okay, look, even though The Dark Knight Rises is going to be pretty good, I mean, it's a Christopher Nolan movie after all, there's no possible way it will be able to live up to the hype. The Dark Knight was lightning in a bottle, one of those rare films that everything that could potentially go right went right. Simply put, The Dark Knight Rises will not be able to do that again. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's going to be good, I mean, I put it on the list for God's sakes. But with nerds being one of the most over-temperamental fan bases in history, odds are we're going to be seeing a lot of freakouts. So if we start seeing any Christopher Nolan Rape My Childhood t-shirts or Retake The Dark Knight Rises movements, I would just like to say for the record, I called it. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Robert Pattinson's filmography, but he isn't really the main focus with Cosmopolis. Cosmopolis is a film that's directed by David Cronenberg, the best Canadian director since James Cameron. I haven't really seen a movie from Cronenberg that I've actively disliked, but I gotta admit, A Dangerous Method was pretty disappointing overall. I don't really know all that much going into this movie, and frankly, I like it that way. I do know that about 80% of this movie was filmed in a limousine, and I am kind of curious about how it calls itself the first film of our new millennium. I don't really know what they mean by that, but frankly I'm looking forward to finding out. If you had told me some time ago that Ben Affleck, a barely passable actor, would eventually blossom like a phoenix out of the ashes into a shockingly excellent director, I would have punched you in the face with a fish. However, since Gone Baby Gone and The Town, released in 2007 and 2010 respectively, were some of the best movies of their respective year, which is high praise all things considered, I was really taken back. Surprisingly, his new film this time around isn't a Boston crime thriller. Rather, it's set in the 1970s Iran, where the country is going through a bit of a difficult time, shall we say, and a few Americans are trapped in the Canadian embassy. A team of somebodies thinks of a plan to rescue them by staging a fake movie in order to try and lift them out without anybody noticing. The premise is interesting and the cast is top-notch, and I'm really excited. Paul Thomas Anderson. Talented guy. He really does make some of the most unique films out there, and he's always interesting for trying something different. But in all honesty, I really didn't like There Will Be Blood. I can't really elaborate, I just didn't. Despite this, however, I'm really looking forward to his new film, The Master. It's a movie about the foundation of a really crazy religion. Which one, you might ask? Scientology, of course. Philip Seymour Hoffman plays the titular Master, aka L. Ron Hubbard. I honestly don't know that much about Scientology, but hopefully it's not necessary to enjoy the film. Even if this movie somehow ends up being bad, it'll still be one of the more unique films of the year, which I think is very high praise.
But just say something that's true!
One movie that I'm not really seeing on a lot of other critics' lists is Only God Forgives. It is an art house action movie with a thin premise starring Ryan Gosling and directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. If that sounds at all familiar, it's because you're probably thinking of the other art house action movie with a thin premise starring Ryan Gosling and directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, Drive. Drive was one of my favorite movies of last year. It was cool, stylish, violent, and an incredible piece of cinema. The big question here is whether or not the combination of Gosling and Refn will work 2 times in a row. Well, here's hoping. I love animated movies. It doesn't matter if it's computer animation or hand-drawn animation, I just love it. One of the more interesting animated films that you all might have seen by this point is Wreck-It Ralph. I've had my eye on this production for a long time now, mostly because of its immense potential. For those of you who don't know, it's Toy Story, but with video games. Although I had my doubts, once I saw this new trailer, I just knew this movie would be awesome. I mean, just look at this clip. You got Bowser, Eggman, Zangief, M. Bison, and Satan. Satan! You know, I was about to stand up here and,
declare how cool this new movie Django Unchained looked. How cool it seemed to have a pre-Civil War black assassin kill racist white people. But then I got around to thinking, should I be praising this movie? Should I be openly looking forward to a movie that is built on the idea of racial killings? Should we be making stories about people who commit hate crimes, believe in the concept of an eye for an eye, and don't question one thing just because the main character doesn't happen to be white? Should we not be questioning people who believe in killing, punishment, and revenge are more virtuous traits than rehabilitation or forgiveness? Should we not be questioning the society that is becoming less and less racist by the day, that is actively tolerating stuff like this? Should we? Who am I kidding? This movie looks fucking awesome.
How do you like the bounty hunting business?
Kill white folks and they pay you for it? What's not to like? I like the way you die, boy.
I'll be honest, I just put this one on the list because without it, this would have been the 9 most anticipated films list. Don't get me wrong, I really liked Casino Royale, but Quantum of Solace was god-awful. Now we have shifted directors from that guy to this guy, Sam Mendes, who has done some pretty good movies and one really, really great movie, and hopefully this will add another great title under his belt. All the returning cast is here, save for an actor who is new to the franchise, Javier Bardem, the presumed villain and presumed silhouette you see here. And if you've ever seen the movie No Country for Old Men...
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
Sir?
The most you ever lost on a coin toss.
You know he plays a damn good villain. Lincoln is an adaptation of Doris Kearns Goodwin's novel, Team of Rivals. It's being adapted by Steven Spielberg, who's been trying to make this movie for nearly a decade now. The film chronicles the presidency of Abraham Lincoln from 1961 to 1965. The cast includes James Spader, Jared Harris, Tim Blake Nelson, Sally Field, Jackie Earle Haley, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tommy Lee Jones, among others, which in and of itself is a damn good cast, but all I really need to say is this: Daniel Day-Lewis as Abraham Lincoln. Let me just repeat. Daniel Day-Lewis as Abraham Lincoln. And last but certainly not least, in fact it just might be my most anticipated movie of the year, The Hobbit. I could go into detail of why I'm looking forward to this movie, but let's face it, you guys all know why I'm looking forward to it, so I'm not even going to attempt. Enjoy this footage.
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
I can't just go running off.
Okay, look, I'm sorry, I'm just having a little bit of writer's block at the moment, and I can't really express why I'm looking forward to this movie, but come on, we're all looking forward to Peter Jackson returning to J.R.R. Tolkien's land of Middle-earth. You are, I am, we all are. Let's just leave it at that. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Or concealed.
Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, the pines were old.